Have you ever noticed how the quietest person in the room somehow becomes the most interesting one? Like everyone else is laughing, talking, comparing phone screens, arguing about pineapple on pizza, and there's that one silent person just chilling in the corner, sipping water like they know everyone's secrets. People look at them and think, why do they look like they're analyzing my entire personality right now? That's the funny thing about quiet people. They don't need to say much to spark curiosity. Just their silence is enough to make others nervous. But why? Why are quiet people so hard to read, and why does that weirdly scare others? First, let's clear something up. Quiet doesn't automatically mean shy. People mix those two up all the time. Someone being quiet might simply mean they don't feel like narrating their entire life story to strangers, or they don't enjoy talking about whether mayo is better than ketchup. That doesn't mean they're scared of socializing. It just means they're selective. Quiet people talk when they have something worth saying, not just to fill awkward silence. Meanwhile, most of us will say anything just to avoid that silence, even if it means debating whether cats secretly judge us. Spoiler, they do. But here's where psychology gets interesting. Humans hate unpredictability. The brain is constantly trying to figure out patterns in people. Are they friendly? Are they annoyed? Do they like us? What do they think? With loud or expressive people, it's easier to guess. They show their emotions, they tell us their thoughts, they react loudly. But quiet people? Oh no, they don't give us that luxury. They just observe. And because they don't reveal much, our brain goes into detective mode, trying to decode them like some encrypted mystery file. That creates something called ambiguity. And human brains absolutely hate ambiguity. It makes us uncomfortable, so we start filling in the blanks ourselves. That is why quiet people attract so many assumptions. Some think quiet people are super intelligent. Others think they're plotting world domination. Some think they're sad, arrogant, or secretly judging everyone's outfits. The reality is usually none of the above. They're probably just thinking about what they're going to eat later or replaying that one embarrassing thing they did 5 years ago. But silence leaves room for imagination, and imagination is often a little dramatic. Another funny thing, quiet people unintentionally come off as confident. Not talking all the time signals comfort with themselves. They don't need attention to feel valid. Meanwhile, loud people are often trying to prove something. Quiet people are like, I exist, that's enough. And people notice that. Think about movies. The mysterious character that walks in and says nothing is always cooler than the one who won't shut up. There's something about silent observation that screams confidence, even if the quiet person is actually just waiting for someone else to start the conversation. The observational part is another reason quiet people are hard to read. They pay attention, they listen, they pick up details. While others talk, they're scanning facial expressions, tone changes, and micro-reactions. They notice when someone fakes a laugh, or when someone is irritated, or when someone doesn't like a group but is pretending to fit in. Because they notice so much and reveal so little, they end up knowing more than they show, which is kind of intimidating if you think about it. It's like playing poker with someone who has sunglasses on. You can't see their eyes, but they can see everything you're doing. Of course, that's going to freak people out. But here's the part most people don't realize. Silence makes others confront themselves. When someone is quiet, it gives others space to overthink. For example, imagine telling a story and the quiet person just nods slowly. Now you're thinking, was my story boring? Did I sound stupid? Why are they nodding like that? What are they thinking? Quiet people don't even have to try to make others self-conscious. It just happens automatically. And humans being humans, we sometimes assume the worst. That's why people often interpret silence as judgment, even when the quiet person is literally just zoning out and thinking about whether they left the fan on at home. There's also a funny social survival factor here. Loud people are easy to categorize. They're funny, they're friendly, they're annoying, etc. Quiet people don't give us enough data to sort them into a category, so our brain keeps trying. When the brain can't figure something out, it becomes hyper-alert. Hyper-alert means attention, and attention means power. That's why the quiet kid in class always seemed cooler, even if they were just drawing dinosaurs instead of paying attention. People also tend to fear what they can't control. You can influence a loud person because you can see their reactions instantly. With quiet people, you don't know how they feel, whether they agree, or whether you're annoying them. That unpredictability makes certain people uncomfortable or even defensive. That's why you'll sometimes hear someone say, why don't you talk more, or you're so quiet. It's weird. Translation: your silence is making me face my own insecurities and I don't like it. Of course, quiet people then get labeled as awkward, even though the ones asking those questions are the actual awkward ones. But there's a softer side to all this. Quiet people are often hard to read because they process things internally. While others think out loud, quiet people think inside their minds first. They don't want to say something they don't mean, or start drama, or add to noise for no reason. They're more like slow cookers. The thought needs time to simmer before it becomes words. And when they finally speak, it's often thoughtful, honest, or funny. Their humor is usually dry, subtle, or perfectly timed. If you've ever heard a quiet person say one sentence that made the whole group laugh for 10 minutes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, quiet people are hard to read because they don't reveal themselves immediately. They value depth over noise, meaning over attention, and comfort over performance. Some people find that intimidating, some find it attractive, and some find it confusing. But all of those reactions actually prove the point. Mystery makes people people think. And most of us aren't used to thinking deeply about others anymore. We're used to instant access, instant reactions, instant everything. Quiet people don't offer that. They make you slow down. They make you wonder. They make you observe. And maybe that's why they scare others. Not because they're dangerous or unfriendly, but because they force us to pay attention to things we usually ignore, like our own insecurities, our own noise, and our own need for validation. Quiet people remind us that speaking isn't the same as communicating, and silence isn't the same as insecurity. Sometimes silence is power. Sometimes silence is peace. Sometimes silence is just silence. So if you're quiet, don't feel pressured to change. The world is already too loud. And if you're someone who gets confused by quiet people, relax. They're not judging you. They're just living in their head. And honestly, we should all try that sometimes. It might make the world a little calmer and a lot more interesting.